The glass ceiling and melanin were two things that I never allowed to hinder me. Now, I know that when we talk about the glass ceiling, the first time I was introduced to it, it was in a negative context. Teacher was talking about it, women's rights, and then it was immediately negative about feminism and everything like that. And the worst thing we could do is really talk about it, and you have all these teenagers in high school trying to dive into this subject and starting to understand themselves. So didn't want all those hormones going crazy, so just glanced over it. So when they talked about the glass ceiling, I knew immediately that that just wasn't me, period. It doesn't make any sense for something to be of glass, which is breakable, and for you not to go beyond it. So then talking about melanin and getting to Black History Month, which we only talk about once a year, sadly to say, but I knew that the past of my skin color would not and will not hinder any success that I wanted to lay hold to. The reason being is because I wanted to find the things that really created success in entrepreneurship, in balancing your life with your family. Like, what really makes you who you are? And once I started to understand who you are and understanding that it's beyond glass or skin color, that's when I started to excel and started to crave knowledge. And that is when I also made up my mind that I couldn't be a 9-to-5. I had to be an entrepreneur. So leading into that entrepreneurship, there were 3 times that I was prompted. Like, God told me, hey, write down this business plan for this gym. And I was like, yo, I don't really feel like doing this gym. I don't know, this is a big vision. Holy cow, there's so many moving pieces. I'm gonna need a lot of help. Not only help, but money. Like, where the money at? So as I kept writing it down 3 times, the vision pretty much stayed the same. So I knew that it was something. And after graduating college, master's degree, bachelor's degree, having accolades and whatnot, after my leadership education came through, I knew that it was time, that leadership had taught me how to be a businesswoman. Not only just a businesswoman, but it started to catapult me in the direction that I've been wanting to go my whole entire life. I stopped following the thoughts of others like, oh, you should be a coach, or oh, you should work in the department of athletics, or oh, you should do this, or you should work in the gym. Like, I knew that I couldn't do that because I felt like I was wasting my time. I felt like being there in that one spot for so long, from these hours to these hours, meant that I wasn't maximizing who I was. So taking those experiences, it then frustrated me. And being frustrated catapulted me into having to seek and find what was really deep down inside. And I always bounced back to the business plan, and I knew it needed to start. But I was scared. Like, I was super scared. I was so scared that when I finally started training, I literally trained people for free. Like, I was just so scared. I was like, well, I gotta get some experience out there or whatever. But I trained people for free. I think I offered this one lady, like, I'll do $5 a session just to get my feet wet. So looking back on that, it's definitely a humbling thing. And I appreciate that experience in itself. Like, my first year was daggone near free. So it was definitely worth it. As I began to grow and get more and more hungry for this entrepreneurship, because I wanted to perfect it. Like, I wanted it to be this nice model of how it's supposed to look and make sure I do everything the right way, which I did for the most part as far as paperwork goes and sticking to those standards, you know? But I quickly found out by like my second year, there's no freaking script for this stuff. Like, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Like, there's no sure step that you're gonna be able to take. There is nothing that's 100% secure. Nothing. Like, you are literally creating something from scratch that no one else has created. Like, especially when you have your own brand name, you're your own person, people like you for who you are, like your personality is on it. When that happens, there's nothing else to compare yourself to. And you have to constantly remember that. because you're gonna take the models that other franchises have done, other people have done, and you're gonna try to follow what they've done, but you gotta carve out your niche and make it what you want. And because of that uniqueness, which separates you from the rest of those companies, you are creating something that it can't be recreated until you create it. So you have to put that time and that investment into it. And that's all called sacrifice up front, period. Like, it doesn't matter if you're rich, it doesn't matter if you're poor, there's gonna be some kind of sacrifice. And the ultimate sacrifice is gonna be your time, because you can never get that back. So pouring as much time as you can into it in the beginning only gives you so much more and so many more benefits on the back end. And what I mean by that is when you pour in your time and you start to perfect your dream and your journey, you know what it's supposed to look like. And you not only know what it's supposed to look like, but you know how it's supposed to function. So when you get to that level and you can start to delegate it to other people, now you know what they're supposed to be doing. So you can start to correct them and be like, hey, no, I want you to do it like this. And you start to clearly tell them and have clear decisions of what should be happening within your brand, within your company. So it allows you to therefore delegate to them and then focus on what you always wanted to focus on. So there's just a lot of benefits to that upfront sacrifice. Plus, you definitely understand the value of money at that point because you're like, hey, I've got this much in my budget and I need to get what's absolutely essential. So it causes you to really think about what should I have in this company and what can I do without for this amount of time. So you have to really get clear to that because everyone wants to have the top-notch brand and be super nice. I've been there, done that. But at the same time, you gotta get what's essential. And then my best advice would be to dress right dress, which is a military term where everything looks the same. So for Demand Great, our colors are black and gold. So I'm determined every piece of equipment is gonna be black or gold. Everything's gonna fit that model. Our floors are actually black and gold. There's black spots in the floor. Gold spots in the floor. We have our logo up. Like that reinforcement of the things that they need to see from your brand that reflect you, you gotta put those things out there consistently. And then don't forget the foundational things that you'll absolutely need, of course, technology-wise. But don't get too crazy in your technology. Let the technology that you do invest in the foundation, let that generate more income for you so you can reap that back. And then once you get that back, reinvest it. And that's one of the other biggest things that I got as an entrepreneur was to reinvest what's been given to you. So I was seeking all this knowledge and consuming it like crazy. And I noticed that there were some principles that I needed to have in order to be successful. One of those principles is to give. Like in order to receive, you have to give. And it's a very hard principle being a beginning entrepreneur because you're like, yo, what do I have to give? Like, I'm trying to get right now. Like, I'm trying to scale. Like, holy cow, like what kind of money is there? But you have to break your mindset and open your mind and realize like giving your time, giving your advice, and then lastly, giving money. However you can, just giving those things freely. We've implemented in the gym where every month we give back either to our members or the community in some type of way. We've given members house cleanings. We've given to the food bank. I think we spent like $2,500, during Thanksgiving to just give back. And surprisingly, they actually needed it at the time. Like the food bank was bare. So we've done different things. They don't know this, but next month we're gonna give them gift cards to their local grocery store so they can go and buy all plant-based food. Like, so we're just constantly giving back to show how much we appreciate people, period. Because without people, you don't have a business. Nothing exists. A government doesn't exist. Nothing exists without people. So when you focus on them, you're only gonna get back what you give. So, but in gathering all that knowledge I had and starting to learn certain principles, it's only grown the business to be more and more full so that we're no longer just a side hustle or some casual gym by the mill. We've actually been able to increase our prices. We've been able to expand upon our offerings and our technology has grown and become so much greater. So this is only the beginning steps of the vision, and I'm very happy and very proud of what is able to be seen. At the same time, this is also a cycle. So you start off and you sacrifice and you get to a level, but then to go to the next level, you have to repeat the same things over again. So I don't want you to forget that. It's vital. Remember that everything is a cycle, just like the yin and the yang. It comes back around to get from level to level to level to level. It's going to be a continual sacrifice and continual constant learning. And this is an everlasting game. So be great, and don't forget that, because you can do this as an entrepreneur too.